Go. Okay. Well, I want to say, first of all, thank you to everyone who's on tonight for our webinar series. So tonight we're going to go over family engagement, welcoming families into your school. And I'm going to not go completely like overly fast on this, but at the same time, I'm going to go at a pretty decent pace. So if you have any questions, like Amy said, please just let me know. And I literally just, let's see, I just want to double check. Oh, figures I just did that. So bear with me again. Okay, there we go. So we're going to do welcoming all families in your school community. Now, first of all, just starting with New York. We're doing this because New York, as everyone knows, is uniquely diverse. So we have 2.6 million school children, 733 school districts. 53% across New York State qualify for free or reduced price lunch. We have over 200,000 homeless children, 18% special education, 211 languages spoken, and 210,000 ELL students, English language learners. Okay, now, why family engagement? And I've been asked this quite a few times. This probably seems like a given, but just to go through some different reasons why. When families are engaged with the school, children are known to get higher grades. They have better attendance. So there's that back and forth where the parents really want them in school and the teachers know when they're out. So they're more apt to come if the parents and the school, the families are more engaged. School may be more enjoyable because they know what's going on. They're also more likely to go on to post-secondary education or a successful career. But you become a true community. So it's not just the parent, the caregiver, the teachers, the principal, but it's the entire school community. Because as families are engaging at school, they're not only engaging for their own children, but they're engaging and advocating for others as well. So in order to create the school family partnerships, you need to know what the difference is, like with family involvement and family engagement. So in order to create school family partnerships that raise student achievement, improve school and community, and that encompasses the full community, and increase public support, we need to understand the difference between family involvement and family engagement. And admittedly, I had no idea what the difference was when I first started. I always thought it was the same thing. So involvement, the actual definition is to enfold or envelope. So it implies doing two. So examples, parents sending in supplies or just maybe volunteering for one event where you go in, you're like, okay, well, I'll just give out juice at the refreshment table. So we compare it also to speed dating, like it's a one and done. You're in and out, you're done. Versus engagement, the definition to come together and interlock. So it implies doing with. So parents serving on school decision-making committees. So parents being on maybe a building cabinet, but it's an engagement. You're vested, you're in, and it's a true partnership. So this is just a picture, and I'm going to be going through them, of the national standards for family school partnerships. Now, this is on our site. This is on pta.org site, but this is how they have families, like you go through, and this is how they have schools and families and communities look through and pinpoint to see if they're doing what they should be doing. It's a great resource. So the first one, and I'm going to be tying this in with how you're bringing diverse families as well, so it's kind of a twofer, because this is something that a lot of schools, like I said previously, have done before, where they use these standards to open up the engagement within their communities. So the first standard is welcome all families, which is pretty straightforward. So all families are active participants in the life of the school, feel welcomed, valued, and connected to each other, to staff, and to what students are learning and doing in class. And I want to say before we go any further also that families could include anyone. They could include moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, caregivers, foster parents, neighbors, anyone who is helping the children with school or in their life. So it's no longer just the staple, and you can't see my air quotes, mom and dad. So when you're going through, the first thing you want to look is the atmosphere family friendly for everyone and free. You have to be able to know your environment. And if you don't know your district, you can ask, because this is all open information. You can see like what your free and reduced lunch rate is, what your ELL and your special education. You can ask, like with your migrant families, if you have migrant families, what are the languages spoken within our schools, within our districts? But you can also go on the state ed's website for a lot of information as well. But you want to make sure that it's family friendly for everyone, and free is a huge thing. Also, okay, I apologize, my 5-year-old just picked the lock of my office. You need to go upstairs, bud. Okay, go get Amelia. Okay, for parents who work 2 jobs or don't speak English, are you translating? So New York State PTA has translating ability, at least for paperwork. We have this great printer. If you just email to translation@nyspta.org, and we can also get that to you at another point. But for people who don't speak English, if you want to have a buffer there so they're feeling welcome as well. You could even find out the languages spoken within your school, and when you first walk in, have a welcome sign with all of those languages so people feel welcome. Even something as small as that, they're going to feel like the effort was made, and they're going to feel even that bit more engaged. So how are you supporting families with students differently abled? So if you have, like, for example, your special education students, are they able, for events that you're doing, are they able to actually come and participate? Do you have activities that could be used across the board? And that's not just with special needs, but that's with different languages, with maybe different abilities, different grades, anything. Are you greeting parents at school activities and events? This is huge, and I highly suggest, even at your meetings or events or anything, that you have someone or a few people specifically on this, where they go up to everyone, say, hi, are you a new parent? Or, oh, you've been here for a while, welcome, we're so glad to see you. Even if it's a parent that doesn't speak the language, just to go up and make that effort. But you should be greeting everyone at all of your activities. So are your meetings in a variety of community locations? That's something that we think of PTA as, okay, well, we're in the school, we need to have our meetings at the school. That's not always the case. So an example that's used from our district is we have a high migrant population, especially at one of our elementary schools. And so they do a lot of different meetings at the apartment complex that a lot of these students live in. And they bring a translator, they bring the school nurse, they bring different people, but the meetings are in different locations. So kind of think outside the box for that. Do you have a parent and family help desk? It could even be something where parents know that if they need any resources, there could be just something there for them. And are you covering family engagement on professional develop days or board retreats? That's something in your schools, and you have a right to ask that. Say, look, are you talking about engaging all your families? So it's one thing to say that your families are welcome and valued, but you need to show it. Okay, number 2, effective communication. Your families and school staff are engaging in regular 2-way meaningful communication about student learning. So all families should feel that the school keeps them informed. Now, it may not happen personally all the time, but your district should have either newsletters, they should have websites, they should have handouts that go home with your child, because realistically, as great as the websites are, not everyone has internet access nowadays. So that has to be something that they're thinking about. Does your school have different ways to communicate? So do you use translation apps? I know Schenectady, The Schenectady City School District here has this great ability right on their website where anyone can type in a question in any language. Within 24 hours, that question is responded to within their language as well. So even just being able to go back and forth with something like that, that makes parents and families feel vested. So is your school maybe using different apps? Like I know that there's Remind, there's Blooms, just different ways for your parents to just get information. So does the school or PTA survey your families at least once a year? If they're not doing this, they should be doing this. And I know it's hard because I can't speak for everyone. I know we get a lot here, but really your survey should be 10 questions or less. It should be quick because people do not have the time to sit and really delve into this. And you just want to see, are you feeling welcome in the school? Is there a better way that you feel we can communicate? What are your issues? You really need to survey your families to find out how they feel. Are the principal and others easily accessible? In what hours? So I know that the principals and admins are busy, teachers are busy, but at the same time, do they have a set of hours, a specific set of hours to where they're saying, okay, we're available from this time to this time. If you need anything, we're here. Or do they even feel that you can come up and are they approachable? A lot of times people will look and think, especially with administrators, that, oh, well, that's the administrator, that's the principal, we can't talk to them. And are they just kind of roll up your sleeves, yeah, let's work on this together? How often do teachers communicate with families? Is that something, are they doing it weekly? Are they doing it monthly? Do you get a newsletter? Do you get backpack mail? So how often do you hear from the teachers? And the PTA and the school together should establish guidelines for regular communication between home and school. So you could do a joint newsletter with the school and the PTA, or you could say, look, the PTA wants to send home information maybe twice a month. We want to do it by backpack mail. Or if you can also put it out on your website or send out emails, but just so you have an idea that you can communicate and you are getting to your members, not only members, but your entire school community. Third
Kim,
is supporting.
sorry to interrupt,
yes,
but we have a question from Vanessa.
Sure.
She wants to know if you have examples or lists of suggested questions for a family survey, or if you have templates.
Yes, I do. If you can email me at family.engagement@nyspta.org, I can get those to you.
SPT. Oh, I'm just typing in our email to the chat so everybody can get it.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We're an upward, Kim.
All right. All right. Thank you. Good question. I was wondering if that question was going to come too. Okay, so 3, supporting student success. Families and staff continuously collaborate to support students' learning and healthy development at home and school. So, do parents and teachers communicate about student progress? So, are you getting actual information and communication on how not only your student, but all the students are doing? And that might seem a little bit off, but that'll kind of guide you also as to how the district is doing in a whole. Because if you have maybe only 20% of students passing, then that's a problem. And versus just finding out about your own. But are you actually getting genuine progress reports? Does the school use assessment results to inform parents? You want to make sure that any tests that they are doing with your children, they're going over with you, or they're, at least if you have a parent teacher conference, then they're saying, okay, look, this is the test we did, this is the assessment, this is where they should be, or this is where they are, this is what our benchmark is, because you want to make sure that you're all on the same page. So are families invited to observe their children's classroom or after school opportunities? Now, I'll start off right now just by saying a lot of schools do not allow families to observe their children's classrooms. They will think either it's going to be a disruption. Some people think that it might be a parent who's just trying to catch something, but this is something where it, if you really feel strong enough to do it, just have a reason and be prepared to have a conversation. Because really just kind of seeing the classroom and everything, a lot of times that really gives you an idea of what your child's going through during the day. And not good or bad, but you want to see where your kid's spending most of their time during the day. And after school opportunities, do they have events after school to where the parents are invited, like maybe curriculum nights or maybe game nights or just anything to where you can be in the school to kind of walk around with your child and see the environment? Do parents and families and teachers communicate about student progress? We covered that at the top. So in that, I'll just kind of use my family as an example. That's something where it goes both ways because I have 4 children in the schools, and if they're doing something in school, then yep, I find out about it through teachers, through emails, but I also make that communication point known at the beginning of the year. But not only that, if something's going on at home, like my kindergartner, for example, if he's really doing well on his letters at home, then I'm going to send a little note to the teacher saying, okay, remember how we talked about him having to really work on those letters? Well, we've been doing it, and this is what we're seeing, because they appreciate that too, because it's showing that you're also listening to what they're saying as well, and you're genuinely working together. So the parents, families learn what good work looks like for their child's age and grade. This was something that I never would have, to be honest, even thought of. But when you have children in school, it's nice to just kind of not to compare them and say, okay, well, my kid should be doing this or that, but just to get an idea of if they're where they should be, even just for writing, for knowing numbers, for knowing letters, for just to get that idea so you don't have these expectations that are floating all over the place. You're both on the same page. So student-led parent-teacher conferences. This is something that I think over the last few years has really grown to where the students are actually going through and they're in these conferences and they're actually leading it and they're talking about what they're doing and talking about what they're learning. And it gives them ownership as well, because it is, I mean, when the younger grades, it's a little harder, but as the kids get older, it is really a partnership with them as well. So providing parent and family involvement tips and suggestions. Some people just genuinely don't know and they need the tips. I'll be honest, I still welcome any new information and tips because I will never be done learning. There's always more to learn. So if there may be little pamphlets or packets or just printouts or even just little blurbs that maybe people might put up on a newsletter or on the website or something, but even a fast facts, like PTA is huge with fast facts, just something that says, okay, these are 5 quick bullets on how to engage your families. Also, does the school offer opportunities for parents or caregivers to collaborate together? Now, this is something that is relatively new, but I think it's Amy. Okay,
Sorry,
someone just,
I unmuted myself for some bizarre reason. Okay, I'm back.
okay, all right.
I was just welcoming
Okay, so
so
no problem. Okay, when I'm talking about parents or caregivers collaborating together, it's getting parents together in a room. And that, for example, some parents might not know that they have a right to advocate. And by being in a room with other parents who maybe know that, they're learning a little bit more about what the process is. Or for our new parents who come in and they've never been in the school environment, and then you have parents who are like me, who are on kid number 4, who it's like, oh yeah, I can totally tell you like what program this is or that. It's nice to get the parents all together in one spot so they can actually collaborate together, and so they can come up with maybe questions or ideas or things that they want to see in the school or they want to help the school with. So because, I mean, especially with different cultures, things like that, you don't know if someone feels comfortable enough coming into the school to maybe ask a question, or if they know about the programs. And if our kids have a hard time asking questions, sometimes we as adults do as well. So to have parents and caregivers just collaborating together, that also is huge. Even just like maybe a once a month, like a coffee talk or something where they get together, or maybe they get together at night somewhere so they can have beverages, air quotes there. Okay, speaking up for every child. So families are empowered to advocate for their own and other children to ensure that all are treated fairly and have access to opportunities for students.
Hey, Kim,
Yep,
Bob has a question. He wants to know, have you had
sure.
any online PTA meetings?
I'm sorry?
Online PTA meetings he was asking about.
Funny that you ask that, because our districts just started with that, and we are going to, at least for our local unit here for the elementary school, we're going to be Facebook Living, doing Facebook Live, I think at our next meeting, because we had an elementary school in our district who did Facebook Live. They had 20 people watch, besides, like, I think they had 15 people at the meeting. But they also, at the end of that meeting, just with like maybe chat and things like that, had a ton of volunteer positions and everything taken, because it was like, okay, well, I can't be there, excuse me, tonight, but I can sign up for this, or I can sign up for that. And people liked the idea of being able to do that. And our SEPTA actually just said that we were going to start doing that as well, because sometimes it's really hard for us to get out of the house and to be able to have an online meeting, because we might even do it on this format as well. Yeah, I say go for it. I hope that answered the question. If there's more, please let me know.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on chat.
Thank you. Okay, so speaking up for every child, this is something that my kids will laugh about, because I am so huge with this, where it is not just about my children, it is every single child in the building, in the district, just every child. So do parents and families know the rights of the students and parents? Read those little code of conduct or those guidebooks that come home. If you have online access, go on your district website and just every once in a while kind of look over the policies, look over the rights, because you do have rights. You do have the right to speak up for your child and to advocate for your child, and your students have that right as well. And it's amazing the amount of parents that really don't know that they do have the right to disagree with a school on something and move forward and advocate. So how often do your counselors and advisors meet with each student or parent? Now, I know this varies in place to place. Here, I can say that the counselors will meet with parents at the high school at least when they first start high school, and then as needed back and forth. My daughter's counselor is a miracle worker. I think she goes above and beyond. I don't know how she functions, but you want to make sure that parents know what's going on. Like, they know that this is the path that the students are supposed to take, and that they have someone in school that's their person. Every student, and this is a personal belief, I believe every student in school should have at least one person in the building that is their person, that if something is wrong, they feel comfortable enough to go to. And that's on the school as well. The school really should make sure that everyone in the building at least knows all people at least know all students are covered. And I know of one middle school that has actually put all student names up on boards. They go through, don't know a little bit, know well. And they make sure that every student has at least one adult in the building that knows them really well. So you want to publicize successful changes in the school that result from parent-family involvement. So one example is if you have a we have a multicultural fair, and I know other districts have done that as well. And that was brought on by families. That was something that families really wanted to see. They talked to the school. The school loved it because they wanted to do it, but they couldn't do it on their own. And that was something that now, because you're seeing this within districts, other districts are getting excited about it and trying to do it as well. But you want to own your successes. You don't want to keep them to yourself, because you want that connection. You want to be able to say, okay, we together are able to do this. You want to, like, for example, your English language learners, we call them the ENL here. You want to make sure that they have programs and that they feel they can bring their families in, even with different languages. Like if you have, for example, a Thanksgiving feast with those students and families, and you're introducing them to that, but then they're also able to introduce a bit of their culture as well. You want to publicize that to show that, look, we're doing this, we're making the effort. So also facilitate parent and family participation in school committees. Now, on any school committee, especially when children are discussed, there should be at least one parent. So, because that is something where you are part of the team, parents should at least be on all school committees. Now, sometimes, yes, with curriculum committees, that gets a little tricky, understandably, because you need someone that has that background. But if you have task forces, if you have like a building cabinet, if you have any type of school community that is discussing the future of your child and every child, there should be a family on that. And keep in mind too, that there are families that it's not that caregivers and parents don't care, but they are bombarded. They have jobs. They're single parents. They're parents that don't speak the language, parents that don't know the whole school makeup and how you're supposed to go in, when you go in, what the programs are. You're there to speak up for every child. So I know we all start PTA for our own, but we are really there as parents to make sure that every kid butt in seat is getting a great education and the same education. Sharing power. This is where I chuckle. My district would be cringing. Families and school staff are equal partners in decisions that affect children and families, and together inform, influence, and create policies, practices, and programs. Now, this is what I was saying previously with equal partners that affect children and families. The district should not, I should say, be making decisions on their own that affect children and families without the families and possibly at times the older children at the table. So, do families have a vote when decisions are made that affect kids? You want to make sure that go to your Board of Ed, look even at their board docs. A lot of places now have it online. Look at those meetings and see what they're doing, because you should be having a vote when decisions are made that affect the kids. So what exists to discuss issues of equity or non-equity at this point? Is that something that, I know a lot of districts now are talking about equity, they're talking about diversity, inclusion, but is there, and I use the word, is there a safe forum to discuss this? Because this is something that can get heated, but needs to be respectful and really needs to be discussed to move forward. So is this something where your district or maybe your parent groups are providing a platform to discuss these issues? Because it's necessary at this time. You want every student, every family to feel welcome, but you also want your teachers and your staff to feel confident and comfortable enough to where they are able to provide this. So it's a never-ending process, and I don't say that in a negative way, but it is it's constantly evolving. So, does your PTA represent all families in both membership and its leadership and as a diverse population? So, I'll be honest, our board right now is all white suburban moms. Like that's what makes up our board, at least in our elementary school here. That does not represent our community, but that is something that we have been working very, very hard to bring people in. We've started to become successful with that, just bringing different things in. Someone gave an example at convention this weekend where you could even go to community leaders, you could go to churches, you can go to mosques, you can go somewhere where your majority is and find out, look, we're both in this together. How can we do this? What can we do?
Hey, Kim.
Do you conduct again? Oh,
Sorry,
yep.
sorry.
That's
Bob's
okay.
asking where your school district is. Are you Duanesburg or are you
Nope. Guilderland.
Guilderland? Okay.
Guilderland.
All right.
Yep.
So, all right. I was close.
Yep. Next door, pretty much. Okay, again, with the annual survey of families. Now, the other survey that was more for like the engagement, this a lot of times is, I mean, you just want to throw questions in as well, just saying, okay, do you feel that you have a voice in our district? Things like that. Okay, school meetings where officials describe program services and performance data. The worst feeling is going into a meeting for the first time and people talking about programs and things that the school does, and you're just kind of looking around going, yeah, I have no idea what these things are. So is there a place where these are actually described, where someone just kind of takes a pause and says, okay, so this program that we're talking about, this is what it actually is, and this is who it benefits, this is what the purpose was.
Hey, Kim. Hey, Kim. Lost your audio. I can't hear you. I just texted Kim to see if we can get her audio back. Kim. Hmm.
Amy, can you hear
Yep.
me in
Oh, I
audio
can hear you.
now?
I can hear you now. Yep. Whew.
Okay, sorry about that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know when you lost me, so I apologize.
I think you were talking
Okay, so
about maybe neighborhood associations. You were still trying to talk about how to get more people involved
Yes.
in your
Yep.
PTA board?
Okay. So asking universities, if you have local universities, asking maybe grad students or undergrads to come and help with programs for the students. Maybe have a STEM program after and invite people. Businesses, utilize your businesses. And with members, they do not have to be parents or have kids in the school to be members. So you could even have like maybe a business sponsorship, or if there is a neighborhood association or even a chamber of commerce, just think outside the box when getting people in to strengthen that school community. Collaborate with your community leaders. So that's what I was saying, like your local pastors or any business leaders or anyone who works with the groups that you want to get into the school. Collaborate with them. Come back and forth, say, look, this is what we're looking to do to become partners. What can we do to work together? So do a give back day. Have your families actually volunteer for something where you're giving back to your community as well. So it's not just that take, but it's an equal partnership. So invite your local businesses to offer information. So do that. I mean, just do that in a decent way to where you're not pushing it on people. But if someone is, for example, in the building and they want to volunteer or help with something, or actually just a crazy example, Dunkin' Donuts, they donate donuts and munchkins to a lot of fall festivals. So just put something up saying this is generously provided by, but they also were able to leave like little cards or things like that, just reminding people that, yep, they were here. Host a community breakfast. Now this is something, think about it, especially at budget time where you're trying to get people interested, or if you have a project, have like a community breakfast or maybe a community tea. Invite even your seniors in, have a community tea, and then show them around the school a little bit. Say, look, this is what we're looking to do. These are the programs. But invite your community in a safe way, or even the families that you feel you're not able to engage with, or that you really want to see more of them in. I mean, a lot of times if you feed them, they will come. And not just what you want to, but find out what different cultures, like what is a typical breakfast food, things like that. Again, thinking outside of the box. Host a community resource fair. That's something where that if you have like a health and wellness day, invite local people that are related to health and wellness to set up little booths and have their information. But they can also talk back and forth. We have our traffic safety grant through New York State PTA. We have a ton of different organizations come and hand out their little flyers and their little tchotchkes to the kids, but the kids get to actually one-on-one discuss different things with these different community resources. Again, reach out to your seniors, retired citizens. I mean, they have stories. I've had families actually in our district come up and say, look, we have a lot of senior homes around here. We should be utilizing this. These are resources. Have them come in even to read, or just, I mean, just engage your community. And then the multicultural fair and events. A lot, like I said, a lot of districts do that. I know our high school started out originally and the students all put it on, and it was amazing. I actually look forward to it every year because they do these really great projects with the background, but you learn about their different foods and the different culture, the different dances, things like that. But then we've had families come back and say that they felt connected to their community for the first time because they were able to bring their culture into the school for people to get an idea. And to see a lot of these students too come in and do dances from their country, and it just, the smiles and the pride, it was amazing. So all of this information that I've given you, just going through the standards, and you're probably racing and you're thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? Oh, let's see. Hold on a second. All right. So I'm just going to go through quick, and this is just, you can do your own action plan as well, but you want to assess your current practices for engaging your families. Then you want to begin planning for the practices based on your assessment survey findings. So that's where your survey comes in. You're going to look at the survey results. You're going to present the action plan to your school community, because if you ask everyone for information and you're not telling them what you got, you're not going to have buy-in for the next thing. Because think about how many times someone's asked you for something, and then when you don't hear how it went, you have no interest after that. So you're going to put your plan into action and monitor your progress. Now, let's say, for example, you hear something in your survey, you decide, yep, that's a really good idea, and you put that in place. You want to make sure you're keeping track that that actually works, doesn't work, because you want to be able to tweak it, but you want to just be able to see, okay, is this something that's actually, was this useful? At the end of the school year, you want to document your successes and share it. So you want to say something. That's when you're trying, and you can do this also at the beginning of the school year. That's when you want to take your successes and say, look, we did this. This is what our members said. This is what our community said. And we were able to actually do this and implement this. I mean, that's where you stand up and take pride. You take ownership for what your school did. And the last step, as you plan for the next school year, explore how you can build on your accomplishments. So that's something that the National PTA School of Excellence, they're great with this, because and it's all on their website as well. But you start, it's baby steps. You don't have to recreate the wheel in 1 year. You add one thing, you see how it works, you make adjustments as needed, and you just keep adding. So that's kind of the beauty part of all of this. So New York State PTA can help. So we do, as PTAs, you all have access to Member Hub. It's a free parent family engagement software. You're probably all familiar with that. New York State PTA has a family engagement toolkit on our website. There are also the family school partnerships and national standards for family school partnerships. Something that is not on here that is relatively new, National PTA has their new Center for Family Engagement. So that is on the National PTA site. There are a lot of different resources there that they're constantly adding. Okay, and don't forget your why, because first of all, my daughter is a diehard Freddie Mercury fan, so I put that. But yeah, we all, when we're doing this, we're rock stars. Like the teachers, the parents, the community, we're all doing this for our kids, people, but we're doing this for our kids and for all of the students, because we want our schools to be that safe place that they land. We don't know what kids are going through nowadays, that it's so hard with social media, with different pressures. I mean, there's so much on them that wasn't on us when we were going through school. So when they go to school, you want that to be their safe place to land. You want them to be able to actually feel comfortable, but you want your families to feel comfortable as well. You want your teachers to feel comfortable, the staff, administrators, community. You want everyone to be able to work together. And by kind of going through and implementing these steps and really taking a look outside the box, you're able to go through and maybe just help a little bit more. So that is the end of my slides. Does anyone have any specific questions that they would like to ask?
Gonna suggest popping off and unmuting and just asking your question.
Yep. Thank you, Amy. Nothing. Okay. Well, if there is anything that comes up, because I know I went through a lot of any recommendations for engaging the school with family engagement. For engaging the school. Okay, so just so I'm clear, you're looking to, what's wrong, Amy?
Oh, sorry. You know, Vanessa is just asking about getting the school to buy into it.
Okay, that was where my question was going to come in on that. Yeah, really, and that's hard for some schools, because I have been to schools where in districts, I've sat in actually on district meetings where the district just really doesn't want the families involved for whatever reason. I think the big thing is just sitting down, even if you start just at the building level, and just really making it known that, look, you're not trying to step on toes. Excuse me, you're not there to make crazy changes or do anything, but you're there because at the end of the day, it has to be a partnership for everyone to make sure that the kids are getting everything they need. And you can even tell them too, look, by us helping as well, this is something where even your staff, like, will understand a little bit better with your teachers, because our teachers now, that's another thing. Teaching is like halfway down their list of things that they're supposed to do. So my suggestion, at least for that, would just be to start at the building level and just really reinforce that we're not trying to take over, but how can we be here to help together and make sure that our kids are successful? Like, really push the partnership. And
Okay,
then
we got
from
another
there, like,
question here, and I don't know what I did to my screen. But,
okay, yes. Yes, I do have, someone did ask examples of surveys. Here, I'm gonna quick put my email address. If you
yep, you got it.
want to email me, I can, if you want information. Okay. Yeah, I can send you information on that. Types of situations that we've used surveys. I know it was Webster Schools used a survey. They had a phenomenal survey. It covered a lot of different things, but they sent something out to their entire district because they wanted to see where, I guess, where the community felt they were with explaining like drugs and explaining other different things that were going on. I know our district will send things out sometimes, and I know they're going to be sending one out shortly, just to see, okay, do you feel welcome within the building? Do you feel safe within the building? So I think with a survey, you don't want to just randomly send one out, but you want to make sure that you have a problem that you're looking to solve, and then questions that would help with the solution, if that makes sense. But yes, I can send you examples.
Hi, Kimberly. It's Bob.
Hello.
How are you? I'm just
Good. How are you doing?
finishing up doing my my nightly duties as a father and homemaker. And I guess that kind of segues to a comment you made earlier about, the PTA is a bunch of white women.
Well, our school is. I would say, like the comment that I made, I was saying that my school, our board is. In general, it's made up of many different people, but go ahead.
No, I think you're right though. I mean, the men are minority, and being one of them and being a stay-at-home dad, we definitely are a minority, but a majority.
Yes.
And how the PTA is engaging men to come in and help, I have not seen that, and it's something that I have been trying as a PTA president to engage the guys.
Mm-hmm.
With very little success. So I was wondering what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah. Have you talked to our male engagement specialist, Kevin, by any chance, through state PTA?
I read through some male engagement stuff on your website, and it just kind of was generic to a degree that. But if you have somebody that's a specialist, certainly I'd like to hear what he has to say. And
yeah, Kevin is.
But I really want to know from your perspective why you only have white women.
I wish I knew. Like, I'll be honest. I might be in a different. I might have a different view of it because at least with the. Yep, thank you, Amy. With the state board, we're including more men. Like I've seen more men involved. I think sometimes, at least from my experience, I can say sometimes the guys just might feel awkward. Just and not because they shouldn't be there, because we need our dads without question, but because it's just a lot of women, sometimes it's that awkwardness. I know me personally, if I see a dad or dads that are constantly volunteering, like I think they're afraid of me at this point because I'll see them and I'm like, you are here all the time. You are running something or you're going to be on the board with us. And they kind of joke, but they know I'm serious because we need our dads as much as we need our moms. I think some of that too, to be honest, might be that and I don't want to speak for everyone, but maybe everyone's just so used to pulling women that they have to take that second and think, you know what, our dads are doing a lot as well, and start pulling the guys in. Because I know we, at least in our unit, yes, on the board, we're all white women, but we also have been like, I can picture in my head like a bunch of dads that are at everything that we pull and they're helping and they are there anytime we need them. And we're like, you need to be a vice president next year, or you need to do this, or you need to run this. But otherwise, that is a tough question. I'm not going to lie.
No, and I ask it because it is a tough question, and just like with parent engagement and engagement in the PTA, it's a tough thing. I mean, just how many people are on this call? So, and I'm trying to kind of shift the whole PTA thing to more not of fundraisers and bake sales to engagement in issues and being able to engage. And some of the things you said, reaching out to the community is very important.
Yes.
And so the stigma with the PTA is there. Mm-hmm. And I think it's our job to change the stigma.
Yeah.
And I came into the PTA with the same stigma, and the involvement and the people that I've talked to and engaged with. But it does change. And this Thursday we're going to have our first online Zoom PTA meeting, which I think is really going to hopefully be the start of me, their online is I think a real important thing.
I definitely agree, especially now. I mean, parents in general, people are just so busy. So being able to actually do that in the comfort of your own home and still be involved, I think that's huge. And I love that you're getting back to grassroots, because I know most people do look at PTA as the fundraisers and the bake sales, and people laugh because I'm so involved, but I kind of see it from a different perspective where I'm all about the advocacy. I love the advocacy. I love the issues. I love the things that PTA has stood for and that PTA has fought for, and things that have, just even resolutions that have become law because of PTA and things, and that's huge.
Vanessa is sharing a comment. She says that at her PTA, We are offering childcare at our meetings in hopes that both parents can participate in conversations. We hope that may help get more men involved.
I think that's great. So that definitely it could be a point. I love that because that's a huge thing for us. And bringing our kids to something, most of the time people don't mind if our kids make noise. I know I just always assume that, I mean, if it's another kid, it's white noise to me. It never bothers me. But with my kids, I'm convinced that they're breaking glass every 5 seconds and causing so much. Like I'm just horrified all the time going, oh my God, they're so awful. And people are like, no, they're fine. But someone's jumping off a bookshelf in another room. And if it's not my kid, I'm like, no, it doesn't faze me. So yeah, the childcare, I think that's great. So that's definitely, Bob, really quick, you might want to look into Watchdog. That's a program for dads. Last year, actually, I met one of the founders. It's an amazing program that really brings the dads in.
I think I've seen that, but yeah. Thank you.
And I know this is going to sound terrible, but one thing that we've decided after our Fall Fest this year to do is next year we're going to divide our gym. We're going to show football on one side, and we're going to have the games on the other side, because there were a lot of dads standing around going, we need something, but we're going to give them so we're hoping to pull them in, although if it's football, I'm going to be there too, but.
Well,
yeah.
you know what, us guys are wired a little different, and we're more about like giving a project and getting it done. So I think the touchy-feely stuff is important, but given a project or given something, and moreover, just getting guys together with no women and having discussions, and we do it at our church, is very impactful.
Yeah, there's another group called, I just remembered, All Pro Dads.
Yes.
What is that?
Yeah, All Pro Dads.
All Pro Dads.
Yeah.
All Pro Dads, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something while I'm thinking about it too, on your membership forms, one good thing to add would be somewhere on the form where you can ask, what is a special skill or a skill that you have that you would be willing to share at school? If there's something at home you'd be willing to do. So, because you find some interesting things, like there might be, some of the dads might say, okay, like we had a dad who was like, yeah, I'm good at carpentry, which was great because we needed some games fixed for our fall festival. And just having that little blurb on your membership form of, is there something that you can do? And you can give little examples because people will look at it and think, what do they want me to do? But is there something that you'd be willing to do or could do from home? Or is there a skill set that would maybe help us at school? Just kind of think outside the box on that, of asking your parents, because even just getting people into the school, it doesn't always have to necessarily be in the school.
No, that's very good. Yeah.
So does anyone else have any questions on anything? And you're always more than welcome to email me at any time. My email address has been up there, family.engagement@nyspta.org. Okay. Well, I want to thank all of you for listening. I really appreciate your time. I know sometimes, especially with like kids going to bed and schedules and everything, it gets tight. So I appreciate all of your time for this. And again, if anyone has any questions, by all means, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email. So thank you very much.
Yep. And a recording of this will be up on our website tomorrow sometime.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you all.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.